Who will feature and how will he line them up? Mauricio Pochettino picks national team in his competitive debut against Jamaica Thursday night. Man United welcomed their new savior, and an English referee said some things on video that an English referee should never say on video. That and much more on Wednesday's Morning Kick Around. Hello and welcome into Morning Kick Around, where we cover the world's favorite game from the world's favorite country, coming to you live each Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning. I'm Robert Kerr, and with Jason currently flying in an airplane, I'm happy to be joined by guest host today. He's gone from the comments to the big chair, my friend, and now yours, Mr. Luke Zagorski. Hello and good morning.
Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everybody. Is this today? This is today? This is live?
Wow. Yeah, this is live. I hope you're ready for it. For a little bit of context, guys, Luke Zagorski, good friend, one of the most passionate soccer fans or sports fans in general, lover of more teams than I can even remember, a collector of millions of collectibles, and a reoccurring guest on my previous program. Some big news came for you today. We're going to talk about American soccer and quite a few other things, but you had big news just before joining the show, huh?
Yeah, pretty topical for the U.S. national team and Jamaica game coming up. I got a letter in the mail randomly last night. I applied for U.S. citizenship about 2 years ago. I've heard nothing from my application for about a year and a half, well, probably over a year. I just got a letter in the mail last night saying that my naturalization ceremony is on Monday afternoon, just completely out of the blue. So if anybody's wondering, yes, Christian Pulisic is now world class, as per me.
Now eligible for the United States men's national team roster. I was going to say Luke Zagorski, one of America's favorite Welshmen, but that won't even be true for very much longer.
Absolutely not. No, I'm going to have to cede to Sir Anthony Hopkins, Christian Bale, and there's probably one more somewhere.
So in honor of your presence, I wore the
look at this,
the throwback Welsh jersey.
Before we very special jersey.
Before we get into today's segments, remind you guys, hit up the subscribe button. Morning Kick Around on YouTube. Subscribing, more important than you'd ever know. It really is the building block for how to progress a YouTube channel. You can find us on the social medias, MKickaround on X and Instagram. And if you want to write us a note, send us an email, morningkickaround@gmail.com. We've got a few of those, including some folks sending some receipts of them spreading the word of the program. And that's ultimately what we need right now. Spread the word. Tell your family, tell your friends, tell your friends' friends and acquaintances about Morning Kick Around. All right, you ready? Let's go. Let's kick off Mondays. Oh, no. Let's kick off Wednesdays. Long balls. Here we go. Thursday will be Mauricio Pochettino's debut in a competitive match, leading the way down in Kingston, taking on Jamaica. Now that you will be a naturalized American, you have a big stake in this. What do you think of Pochettino? Let's start off fundamentally. What do you think of Pochettino becoming the United States men's national team coach in the first place? And then we'll get into what this camp looks like.
I think it's a massive borderline coup for the U.S. men's national team to have enticed a coach of genuine pedigree and track record of Pochettino, despite what a lot of his prior fan bases might feel about his actual success rate. I think he's a fantastic coach. I think he's a mark above any coach that the U.S. national team has ever had. And I think the U.S. national team took themselves seriously by going, you know what? We're not going to do politics. We're not going to do nepotism. We're not going to do the old boys network. Oh, this guy used to play for the national team. We'll just go get him. It's not about that. It's about, we need a really good coach. Who's available? Who's there? Who can we get? And they went out and they got not only a name, but they got a really, really good coach. And I'm really excited for the future of this program, because there is more talent available to this squad than there's ever been. And I'm telling you, Pochettino might be the guy to meld it all together into a borderline world-class team. I mean it, and that's not hyperbole.
So last time these two teams met was in the Nations League in March, and it took a stoppage time own goal from Jamaica and then 2 Haji Wright extra time goals. So question for long ball number 1, will this team show improvement to the side that narrowly escaped Jamaica in the Nations League in the spring?
I don't know what you think about this, Rob, but I think it all depends on how ambitious and how early Pochettino wants to set out his stall. Does he want to do Pochettino things on day one, or does he want to work with what he's got on day one and slowly introduce his style and his fundamental football ethos? It could go either way, but I mean, there's no reason why Pochettino can't stay within the confines of common sense, but still put his own stamp on this game. And I fully expect the US to show up today. I really do.
It might be quite the test. I think it will be quite the test. Jamaica now led by Englishman Steve McLaren since August. They're unbeaten in their first 4 matches under McLaren. Leon Bailey was absent from this side for a good portion of this year's Jamaica matches, back in the side. What do you make of McLaren jumping ship from Man United to join Jamaica? And do you think Leon Bailey and the Reggae Boys will, be improved themselves?
All right, 2-part answer. Number 1, where would you rather live, Wythenshawe or Kingston? Right? He's not going to need a number. Remember the whole Wally with the Brolly thing a few years ago?
Yes. Now he's melting into the culture in Jamaica, is this opening quote. And yeah, no need for brawlies in Kingston.
Absolutely.
You don't think? Not often, at least.
Yeah, and I mean, look, Jamaica have got a lot of moments players. I don't think they have that much in the way of world-class outstanding talent, but they've got one of those sort of any given Sunday type guys everywhere you look. I mean, I really like Bobby De Cordova-Reid, who's Premier League veteran. He's played for Fulham. He's at Leicester now. Mikhail Antonio, the big boy up front, Amari Gray, even Romario Williams, who actually plays in USL Championship for Indy 11. He's a really good player. They're all capable of these off the wall, exciting moments, and you just don't know. You just don't know where a moment is going to come from a team like this.
Well, that said, the United States have some changes and kind of some maybe possible formation swaps. I know Jason on his program and our show on Monday, we're hypothesizing of what this could look like. Is Pochettino going to make a formation change? There's only 2 fullbacks in this squad, 5 center backs, kind of painting the way towards, is this going to be a back 3 and maybe a 3-4-3 from Pochettino?
Well, we were talking about this a little bit last night, Rob. It makes a lot of sense. I mean, I'm all about putting your best players on the team, right? I'm all about putting your best talent on the field and figuring out a way to make it work. Where are the fullbacks in this squad? Where are the 2 solid fullbacks as a back 4 that really make this work? I really don't see it, and so this would be a great time against a not necessarily world-class opponent, right? Now would be the time to do something like that and see where you stand with it.
Yeah, Jamaica, I refer to them as the team in CONCACAF with the lowest basement and the highest ceiling. They've really put together performances that have been anywhere between outstanding and rubbish, for lack of a better term. Be interesting to see what team shows up for Steve McLaren in this competitive game against the United States. They had to do some qualifying, so they've had some competitive matches under him already. Like I said, unbeaten in 4. This should be like you said, the place where you obviously need to get the win because it is a quarterfinal, but at the same time, It isn't Mexico, and we're not. The United States isn't playing against any world beaters. If you were to pick a back three, I'm trying to pick through the list of available center backs, and that's a big question mark. Obviously, there's 4 keepers in this squad, 5 center backs. Question marks over both of those positions. Do you think that the personnel available, Pochettino can execute a back three? I'm scared that it'll turn into a back 5.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, from the look of the squad, it looks as though that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to pack his squad with some stout bodies to sort of play that flat back three. Guys like Tim Ream, you're not going to get that much of an attacking force from this guy. He's about what is he, 61, 62 now? I can't remember. But good player, don't get me wrong. But like, where's this dynamic, thrust-in, versatile back four? I don't really see it. I don't really see it in this squad. So maybe he's picked his squad around the principle of doing a back three. And there's some really good defenders in this squad. Miles Robinson, Anthony Robinson, Chris Richards, as well as Ream. So I mean, you could definitely, with a little bit of practice, a little bit of training time, a little bit of a philosophy adjustment, this team works really well for like one of those fashionable 3-4-2-1s or 3-5-2, something like that.
Yeah, 3-5-2 perhaps, but one of the more fun positions, obviously, to kind of parse through. I challenged you to put together what you'd like to see from the front three. Who do you want Mauricio Pochettino to select for the front three in his first competitive game against Jamaica away?
Are you asking me because I'm American now?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, who is your American strike force, Luke?
Well, despite the comment in the YouTube comment section that the show is too British today, which I humbly apologize for.
Hey, he's one of America's favorite Welshmen. Come on, Urias.
I'm one of y'all now. So I said y'all. Front three. I could not begin to guess how this is going to line up. I really couldn't. And this is not me passing the buck. For me, it's about putting your best talent up in the squad and figuring out as you go. And sometimes that involves going against the grain a little bit. I'm a big fan of that. I'm a big fan of playing with a false nine. And I think Pulisic is I'm allowed to say this now. Pulisic is borderline world class. Put him in the false nine. Put 2 competent forwards that are okay playing wide alongside him. Make that work. For me, if I'm Pochettino, which I'm absolutely not in any to any degree at all, that's what I would go with to start with, because you don't have a 9. America has not had a 9 for quite some time. Who was the last solid 9, actual big boy striker that the United States had? Was it Josie?
It really was.
You haven't had a Josie for a while, so do something else instead. Put Pulisic as a false 9, deep lying, let him do his thing, and put some competent runners either side of him. I don't see that not working. I really don't. So for me, it would be Pulisic at the 9, and then you can pick your outside back. You can pick your outside too. I like Pepe. He scored goals at this level before, so I really do trust him. And then your other one is to pick him.
Yeah, there are a number of choices on the outside. I wouldn't mind seeing Kate Cowell, even though I doubt that he'll get the nod. He might get some late game moments, but if I was just going to go with a traditional front three, I would go Pulisic left, Pepe at the 9, and Weah on the right-hand side. He's pretty versatile down the right. He scored kind of in like from a wingback position for Juventus at the weekend. If it's a 4-2-3-1, again with the squad available, it's hard to see him playing with a back four. But if they do that, I would like to see Zendejas get a good run out. I've seen him play for his club in Mexico, and he looks really dynamic and has a bit of a magical left foot. Pulisic as that 10, way on the right, and then again Pepe leading the line. The only real camp note, usually there's some sort of a quote or something buzzy in the camp. Nothing too much The one quote I saw from the players' press conference in camp was Pepe saying he was ready to start. He's been very patient, waiting for his opportunity to, be a starting striker. Not really getting a whole lot of opportunities, so it would be interesting to see. He's saying he's ready. Can Pepe be that next? He's shown flashes of it. Nations League, he scored some big goals, and some in the World Cup qualifications, he scored some timely goals. So I'd like to see Pepe leading the line, no matter what formation they come out in on Thursday night. That is in the evening from Kingston on Thursday night. Moving on, long ball number 2. Ruben Amorim arrives in Manchester. Luke, this has been low-hanging fruit for you. You are in a local United supporters group. You've even got Red Devil tattoos on your body.
Just the one.
Are you excited? And should United fans globally be excited for this hire, or is this another kind of false dawn?
2 reasons why I'm excited. Number one, we don't have Erik ten Hag at the club anymore. There is no evidence to suggest that he really ever did have a handle on the job. There was no evidence to suggest that he really had any sort of semblance of a system or a philosophy or style, really knew how to get the best out of his players. His head looked like a big bean. So really quite happy to see the back of him. No, just a lovely guy, like genuinely really, really nice fella and all that. But I don't think he belonged at this club. I really don't. So happy to see the back of him to almost every single degree I can think of. And Amorim comes in with a track record. He's got some trophies. And my only reservation is that he's going to come in with, we talked about this a little bit, and I know you're aware of this, that he comes in with this like really specific style, really, really specific tactical setup that I don't think United have the personnel to really pull off right now today. I could be wrong, happy to be wrong, but I don't know. I don't see it. But there's reason to be optimism as a United fan for sure.
So Amorim, he kind of made his own way. There's a little bit of parallels between him and Ten Hag. Did very well in one of the Stepstone leagues. Forgive that terminology, but a league that's very good and well respected, but there's levels above it. Got a lot of did well for that team domestically, made some waves in European competitions, is one of the hot young names, rising names in European football management. And then similar to Ten Hag, he's bringing his coaching staff, bringing his own philosophy and all that. Do you get nervous about those kind of parallels? I mean, Amorim seems to be self-made. I mean, he kind of broke some molds. He had some management jobs where he didn't even have licenses, kind of has done things his own way so far. Do you think that differentiates? Are you nervous about any parallels at all?
Nope. Next question. No, I'm not. I'm nervous. I'm nervous about certain aspects, but I'm not. Let's bear this in mind. I know this is not the Manchester United of old. This is not the all-seeing, all-knowing, all-conquering United of 7,000 years ago that would just mop the floor. And you trusted their decisions. You knew that whatever was going on at the club was probably at least somewhat smart and forward-thinking. They pursued this guy so hard, Rob. They really pursued this guy. They begged and pleaded with him to come. And I just have a hard time imagining the Premier League team of this standing going after the wrong guy and pursuing the wrong guy and pursuing him inappropriately to the degree where they were just, they were willing to just, basically call him an Uber right there and then. Hey, come out right now. We need you. And, it's hard to gauge what a track record in a country like Portugal or Belgium or Switzerland or Sweden or, the Netherlands really sort of translates to on a bigger scale, such as the Premier League, Spain, Italy, France, Germany, what have you. But he's got trophies in his pocket, and it's a pretty competitive league in Portugal. This guy knows what he's doing, and he was pursued extremely aggressively. The ironic thing is, Rob, and we talked about this as well, his replacement, his temporary stand-in, Ruud van Nistelrooy, former United great, who my mum remembers and was really fond of, he went undefeated in the 4 games that he that he stood in for. 3 wins and a draw. Is that to be completely discounted? Did they actively, aggressively pursue a guy when they had a guy?
That's hard to say. I mean, the new manager bounce is a thing. I mean, over the last 10 years, United have had about half a dozen interim managers, and that is, has gone well for some and not for others. I mean, Solskjaer was, successful in bits and spots for United, and he went from interim to full time. So maybe they didn't want to repeat that sort of display of hiring the guy that won you 3 games. I guess that shows maybe fill you some confidence. Maybe that shows a little bit more planning that Amorim is like this long-term solution, and we will, mold the team around what he wants, not just, you won 3 games, so you got the job. I'd say that looks like maybe better planning. I mean, obviously you don't want to see the back of Van Nistelrooy completely. He has moved along, or he was moved along within this last week following that last match at the weekend. But the new man at the top for United joins as the Red Devils are in 13th place in the Premier League. They do have a somewhat favorable run of matches. They return from this international break against Ipswich, then in Europa League against Bodø/Glimt, and then at home against Everton. So kind of a decent runway for him. Do you think that the new boss is going to hit the ground running here?
There's no reason for him not to. I just hope to goodness he understands what he's working with here. Because this is the funny thing. Yeah, we're not in a position to be able to go out and spend $200 million again on new players. So it's almost like this lather, rinse, repeat cycle where, we've got new players. And now Amorim's going to come in and he's going to ask for new players to instill his vision and his philosophy. And it's going to be like, okay, so we have to wait another 2, maybe 3 transfer windows before those changes come in. By which time are we still in 13th in 2 years' time? Who knows? You're absolutely right. This is a team on the ropes, but you've got to understand as well that so are the Dallas Cowboys, they still sell tickets. So are the New York Yankees, they still sell tickets. Mike Tyson is gonna have 5 billion people watching him probably on Friday night when he's knocked down by that irritating little fella Jake Paul. The names are the names, and the names are going to last for a long time, maybe past their sell-by date a little bit, but we still care a little bit. Nothing to do with the fact that I'm a fan, but there's a reason why people are talking about Leo Messi and Argentina and the Yankees and the Cowboys and the Lakers. There's a reason. These names they matter on a global scale. Form is temporary, class is permanent. I mean, at some point, United are going to figure some stuff out and get some proper silverware in.
Yeah, hopefully they don't figure out too quickly. I'm not too upset about United being in 13th at the moment. Moving on to long ball number 3. English referee David Coote suspended after a vitriolic rant was shared online. I feel a little bit of sympathy for him. Feels like his friends took advantage of him. They got him drunk, told him to, talk smack about his coworkers, and then it was shared online, and he's been caught. For anyone who has not seen it, this Premier League referee, David Coote, who has had some controversial calls as people are looking into his history. But basically he's drunk on a couch. He called Jurgen Klopp see you next Tuesday word, and just called Liverpool terribly in general. He's already been suspended. What do you make of this? I don't know if in my opinion, I'm not sure if what he said was this is a normal person complaining about their coworkers, but it's it only in that profession. They almost have to be like pilots. You can't joke around about your job if you are in a position like a referee.
Some people can't say certain things, and that's the end of it. When you're a passenger on an airplane, you can't say the B word, right? You can't say bomb. You just can't. I mean, you can, but you've got to be prepared for the repercussions of doing so. And there's just certain stuff in life that you just can't do. And referees have got to be really careful criticizing anybody connected with the world of soccer, and he did. And it remains to be seen whether he's sort of contrite or apologetic or acknowledging about it. But he did it. He said a very, very silly thing. Is it worth taking his whole entire career away from him? Does this now mean that he's some sort of, corrupt force, and he needs to have his livelihood taken away from him? I don't know, but he needs to pay a little bit of a price for this, because he was a very, very silly sausage that night.
Yeah, he said some things that that someone in his profession can't say. It's like a priest that everyone's made their confessions to, and and you see him on the couch, a little tipsy, spreading those things, and it also undoes the confidence in referees. If you go online at all before, during, or after any Premier League match, football conspiracies are out there, or this referee hates us, or he's doing this on purpose. And there's people claim that there is personal entanglements between referees and the teams they, officiate. And hearing someone go on a drunken rant like this, disparaging teams and coaches, only gives fuel to the fire. It undoes the credibility of the referee role.
These referees, you sort of feel, and this is in any sport, everybody is just waiting with bated breath for an opportunity to take a slice out of the credibility of an official, whether it be the NBA, the NFL, Major League Baseball. People hate the umpires. They're waiting for a chance to criticize guys like Angel Hernandez. They wake up for it. They wait for it all day. Oh my goodness, I just want these guys to screw something up so I can jump all over them and question their integrity and the very, fabric of their existence. And it's the same in football. It's the same in soccer. I got to flip-flop those terms. I got to learn. I'm soccer now. I can't do football anymore. I got to say soccer. I have to. It's the same. People are waiting for these guys to screw up, and they will, and they do. And as long as he understands that what he did was I don't think it was necessarily, heart-stoppingly malicious or hateful or just career ending. But yeah, he's got to have a timeout for this. He's got to be in the naughty corner for 6 months or so. He's got to realize the ramifications of what he's done.
Yep, he's already been suspended. I don't believe that they have laid out the exact. Let me hop on the Google machine and see if it's come down. But he definitely has had a quick, a quick and swift downfall, I would say, after that video only just came out in the last 36 hours. But he is currently suspended pending the full investigation. Obviously, it didn't take much to, you just see the clip and he says what he says. But some people highlighting some high-level run-ins between Coot and Liverpool in games since during COVID, and a couple times since, when he was on the field, fourth referee, and as a fourth official. And then I think there was a new bit on this. Howard Webb, who is the head of all the officials in England, saying that they made a mistake while Coot was a fourth official, which was one of the games that led to Ten Hag being sacked. So the repercussions of this, and now that you're on record on a video, having personal preferences and strong personal preferences for or against the team, you open yourself up for lots of investigations and scrutiny. Thank you for tuning in, guys. Thank you for the comments. Nate throwing in there, sticking up for us against the slander of Urias. If you want to join in, feel free to leave a comment. But biggest thing you can do, tell your friends to subscribe to the Morning Kick Around YouTube channel. We started ticking up again, stalled out a little bit, but the subscriber numbers are climbing once again. Find us on social media, mkickaround on X and Instagram, and write us a note, morningkickaround@gmail.com. Take a quick breath, and we'll come back with Wednesday's Culture War. Today's Culture War for Wednesday. The fallout continues from Inter Miami and Messi leaving the MLS Cup playoffs after the first round after having a record-breaking points total in the regular season. The second and third top seeds also out, Columbus and Cincinnati. In the second division in the USL Championship, Louisville ran away with the regular season, but they were knocked out in the first round as well, or previous to the final at the very least. Luke, should American soccer do away with playoffs?
So many arguments for and against, right? What do you want to do, guys? What do you Americans, all Americans ever? What do you? I'll pitch the question to the entire country. What do you guys want to do? Do you want to replicate what Europe do? You want to do it because you want to do what the Europeans do because they did it 100 years ago or so, or do you want to do it your way? Do you want to do it America style? And this is a problem, not so much a problem, but this is a conflict that I think MLS and the US soccer setup in general has always had. Do you want to take the authenticity of the European game and just kind of replicate it and just do things the right way? Or do you want to put an American spin on it? Great example is, Robbie talked about this a little bit last night as well. The MLS, those silly penalty run-up-y things in the mid-90s when the MLS first launched. That was a very American spin. No, we can't have ties. We can't have a draw. We don't know what that is. We don't know what that means. We don't know what a tie is. We need a winner. We need a champ. We need a him. So they did that. And it came off as a little bit quirky, but it was an example. And there are many, many, many other examples of MLS just saying, you know what, we're going to take this sport that works on a global level, and we're just going to put our own spin on it. And that's what the playoffs are. They are an American approach to a global game. And there's arguments to keep it. There's arguments to get rid of it and just do it correctly, which is just a league table, and then everybody goes home happy with their tin hat. I don't know. I could talk about this for hours. I'm really, really, really torn, but I do like the 3-game playoff system. I kind of do. Very unpurist of me, very un-Brit of me, right? But I like it. I do.
Well, we'll keep this conversation in the frame of just the playoffs in general, just as something that is included in American soccer. Jason on the program and his afternoon radio shows brought up the fact that no one gets upset in the NBA or the NHL when a lower seed gets hot at the right time and goes on to win a bunch of games and maybe even win the so-called or the specific championship for that sport. And it's only when it involves American soccer that people kind of getting up in arms, like, oh, the top seeds are out. What are we doing? Why do we have to, why are we losing the best teams and the best teams aren't winning the championships? No one gets upset about that in the other sports. And so to your point, as Americans, should we just acknowledge like we're doing, this sport the American way? Or do we kind of like, we're probably only upset about that because it's not done in the other leagues that, people are spectators of. I mean, in my heart of hearts, I think both should have equal respect. I mean, the playoffs are exciting. I mean, if you eliminated the playoffs from MLS right now, you would obviously lose a lot of games on the broadcast schedule. You'd lose a lot of talking points. We wouldn't have been talking about, Messi on the brink or the, penalty shootouts that happened in the first round. The opportunity for a lower seed to spring an upset, but at the same time, there's a purity to the season was 8-9 months long. There's a purity to just awarding the best team with the championship that, you spent your whole season watching. They should be the winners, right?
Which is what every other country ever does, by the way. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's how this works. There's 20 teams in the league, or 22, 24 teams in the league, depending on the country. Everybody plays, except for Scotland, which only have 10, and they just play each other 97 times a year, and then that's who wins. But that's how this works. Everybody plays each other twice, and then you add up the goals at the end of the year and add up the points at the end of the year, and hurrah, you are the champion. If you want to do something else knockout wise, you do that. And just like Nate said in the chat, that's called a cup competition. That's called that's a separate trophy. And that's the way it's, again, supposed to be done. And it does frustrate me a little bit because you know what it feels like, Rob? Sometimes it feels like the regular season, especially in MLS, a little bit more so than other sports such as the NFL. It just kind of feels like the entire season is the pregame. It's the preseason. It's just that's what it is. It's just to sort out the seedings for the playoffs. So if everybody just cares about the playoffs,
Yeah, well, yeah. Why are there season ticket holders? Why would you dedicate all of your time if the whole season, the whole summer from what March, April until now is just a precursor to a fragmented
right?
and sometimes experimental playoff format? I mean, before we go into that aspect of kind of how this year's playoffs are set up, you are a hardcore Columbus Crew fan. You lived it firsthand. You had this full season of great success during the regular season, other cup competition success as well. But how do you feel now after such a great, 9-month stretch supporting your team, and then after a first round, against New York Red Bulls, you're now out, and maybe the season was a failure? How do you feel?
I think your mic cut out there for a second, Rob. I didn't quite hear you ask me about my Columbus Crew failing in the playoffs. I didn't quite pick that up, so I'm just going to go ahead and ignore it.
You
No,
had
it
me.
sucks.
You had me check. You had me checking
I
my
know, right?
my connections there, but
I know.
no, I didn't stutter.
No,
I didn't cut out the
you
Columbus
didn't.
Crew. Great season, bad playoffs.
I know. Yeah, okay. I mean, that's sort of what we're talking about here. The bottom line is, I think as sports fans, we all want to see the best two teams in the Super Ultra Mega Finals Bowl, or whatever it is you want to call it, whether it be the World Series, which was probably the two best teams in baseball, funnily enough. We want to see the best teams in the Super Bowl. We like the wild card runs. We like the Cinderella stories. We love the Gonzagas and what have you. But come on, man, we got to figure out a way just to get the two best teams in soccer. Playing each other at the end for all the marbles. I mean, don't we? Isn't that what this is all about? And does a regular season that means nothing and then playoffs that mean everything kind of, do they solve that? Or does a league table really do that? I mean, does any system out there really exist where we know that the best two teams in X country are taking the big cup home at the end of it all?
There's a lot of conversation about calendar and how does MLS maximize their calendar. I know that they're talking about or they're throwing the idea out of going to the Euro calendar, but if it stuck to the summer calendar, but didn't have the the couple month obligation of fitting in the playoffs at the end of the schedule, maybe the regular season scheduling does improve if you don't have to worry about that big chunk at the end that gets mixed up with all these international breaks.
Mm-hmm. Because the principle is, look, honestly, if I truly believe that the Columbus Crew are probably the best all-around team in MLS, right? I really, truly believe that. Again, being a stan, being a fan aside, I do. I've seen them play. I think that they're a majestic team to watch. But when the heat was really on and they came in with a plucky New York Red Bull side on their heels, who kind of had them figured out both tactically and in terms of approach and attitude. They couldn't get it done. When the heat was on, they couldn't get it done. So I fully believe that if you put the Crew against any other team in MLS for 10 games, do they win 6 or 7 or 8 games against every single one of those teams? Yeah, probably. But that's not how this all works. It's not 10 games. This isn't the World Series. This is not 10 games. This is 1 game or 3 games, depending on the scenario. And yeah, they failed. They weren't. They just didn't. It was so weird. They looked completely uncrew-like in those 2 games that they both, they played and both lost. Weird.
Yeah, throughout the season, you described the Columbus Crew's plays as brave and bold, and that maybe wasn't there in those games against Red Bull. Was that man marking? Was that just like a bogey team? Were they tired? What do you think?
I think tiredness comes into play because they played more games than anybody else in the country at that point. They went down to Mexico to play a game, which, by the way, I was at. I don't know if anybody can see that. That is a picture of me in Pachuca with a couple of dear old friends of mine. It was a lot of miles on the tires this year for this team and no other team. So yeah, that's a factor. But no, they just ran out of the magic when it really, 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 really counted. And it happens sometimes. That's sports. That's why it's called sports and not let's roll the dice.
One of the public comments about playoffs that came out, Jordi Alba, legendary player that was amongst the Messi and friends for Miami, saying the playoffs didn't seem really fair. Maybe the top teams in each conference should play each other for the championship. That seems, you'd like to see the best teams play against each other. Earlier in the year, you and I got to see Columbus versus LAFC in the Leagues Cup final, and that was great. That was two teams that were, two top teams battling against each other. Could have gone either way, but the moments went Columbus's way in that game. But we won't get to see Miami versus Galaxy or LAFC or even Columbus versus one of those LA teams. And that seems like kind of a shame, right? Because that Leagues Cup final was pretty thrilling.
Why is it a shame? Because we don't get to see Messi again?
No, just that. Not even Messi aside, I didn't even really see him. I'm just saying that the top teams, the number one seeds playing against each other would be thrilling just in general.
Yeah, it would. It always is. Everybody wants to see the home run hitters and the best quarter, the Heisman Trophy winning quarterback in the big game at the end. That's kind of how we're conditioned to feel. But if those teams don't perform on the day, there's absolutely nothing we as fans can do about it. We can just sit and grumble into our nachos and move on. We can try to dissect after the season, but it doesn't really help. It doesn't really help at all. In fact, it makes you feel worse. Cruel mistress sports, Rob. You know about this. Being a Liverpool fan for so many years, you understand the concept of close but no cigar, always the bridesmaid, never the bride, and many other cliches. It's a cruel mistress sports. Horrible.
Yeah, that would be wild. I mean, during my lifetime, or at least as an adult, Liverpool has been second place more than any other team in the league. And who knows, if there was a playoff format, that second place would be a great place to finish. And then you'd probably have a home seeding sort of a situation and be in a golden spot. But, those things, yeah, like you said, sports and football can be cruel. Have your say out there, viewers. MK Ultras, as I think we're going with, viewers of this show, MK Ultras, perhaps. That's what our friend Jason is leaning towards. Have your say. Do you think that the MLS having playoffs and American soccer having playoffs is just fine? I mean, maybe tweak the format of maybe, but do you think American soccer should have playoffs, or should we, assimilate to world football and go with a straight table? Please like and subscribe the Morning Kick Around YouTube channel. That is the key for growth of the program. We are nearing 400 with that first big goal being the 500 subscribers mark. That is a great goal to work towards in our journey towards 50,000 subscribers. Be sure to follow along on social media, MKickaround on X and the Instagram. And then hit us up if you want to write us a note, morningkickaround@gmail.com. Luke and I are going to catch our breath, come right back with a memory hole here on Morning Kick Around. Whoa, there's a Bill and Ted's intro. This is Memory Hole here on Morning Kick Around, and we're in the international break, so we got a little bit more time to dust ourselves off and look around the football world. And there's a cottage industry of, in American media, a soccer media, of following Americans abroad and checking in. I mean, we even do it in this show, checking in on what Pulisic, McKinney, and the other national team hopefuls are doing. And sometimes folks forget that the wave of Americans abroad started, about 30 plus years ago. And there's some names that have maybe fallen down the memory hole. Luke, you kind of brought up this topic because you had a poster on your wall of a team that featured some North Americans. Surprisingly, Ipswich from the mid 90s had some North Americans on it. You wanted to put that up and see if anyone could pick these names out.
Absolutely, let's do it.
Oh, so having some technical issues with that photo, but we
No
do.
problem.
Oh boy! But Ipswich Town, Manchester United's first opponent when the new coach comes in, has a history of American or North Americans in their lineup, but looks like I jumped the gun there. We don't have that photo lined up for.
It's a really cool photo too. I will get it to you guys. I will get it to you very, very momentarily. So yeah, we're talking about the history of Americans and North Americans in general in this beautiful game. And the first player I ever remember being American, there was actually two. It was Coventry City in the early 90s, and they had two Americans. They had the wonderful, marvelous, all action, all the time Kobe Jones, and then they had a striker by the name of Roy Wegerle, and they were both
Nate in the chat. He shouted out the Roy Wegerle.
No way, Nate! I always liked you, man. I always liked you. That's
and
amazing.
then the photo here, so I lived in England in the mid 90s, and Kobe Jones, this is the guy for me. This is the first time I ever really connected Americans and English soccer in any way. And I remember on Match of the Day being like, oh, the American Kobe Jones. There was always like an uplift of like surprise, like this guy is he wasn't like a rotation player. He was a key player for a then Premier League team, and he really really put Americans on the mark. And we know him now as a commentator and as a pundit, and he pops up here and there in American soccer media. But he really was on the front wave of Americans in England. And here is the aforementioned Roy Wegerle, also a country. And wow, look at that kit. I love that. I don't know what that pattern's called, but that is a 90s pattern there.
Oh my goodness, he looks like Cloud9, doesn't he? He literally looks like Cloud9. Very, very quickly, I'm a huge jersey collector. I want to say hello to my friend Colin, who hooked me onto this awful, horrible curse. Made me get a new mortgage out on my house just to afford all the jerseys I like. Buriram United today, guys, biggest team in Thailand. I will not take questions on that topic. Thank you. But yeah, Buriram, massive club.
Yeah, so there was the likes of Roy Wegerle and then Kobe Jones, both spending time at Coventry, a team I'm happy to see kind of in the zeitgeist a little bit with the likes of Haji Wright, doing some things. And they were in the FA Cup semifinal and promotion semifinal last year. But there's also names like John Harkes. He was really the first name that scored a ultimate banger of a goal. I think he was in the running for a goal of the season or something like that.
He was. What a goal! Look at that. He's one of my own. He's one of my own with that flag. He's just like me, John Harkes. We're practically the same guy. Yes, John Harkes technically was the first American player to make an appearance in the Premier League in 1992. Came off the bench for a middling Sheffield Wednesday side, but he deserves respect because it was sort of it's weird. It was sort of a novelty, Rob. If you remember, it was sort of a novelty seeing an American face and hearing an American accent in the game of soccer. We were aware that you guys kind of sort of liked soccer. You got a World Cup in '94 that went actually pretty well. It's remembered as a pretty solid World Cup, but we knew that soccer hadn't penetrated the zeitgeist, if you will, of the country, and it was a novelty to see an American player. And the ones that we had, we kind of we dug it. We kind of dug them a little bit more than perhaps their actual talent level may have usually dictated. We loved Kobe Jones. We loved Roy Wegerle. We loved when the goalkeeper started arriving. Rob, you'll know about that. We love these guys. Brian McBride, we wanted that. We bought into that novelty aspect because we knew what it meant. We knew it meant that soccer was finally on its way in the United States, and we knew it finally meant that the last bastion of the Western world, soccer finally conquered it. Finally, after X after so many decades of being, yeah, it's kind of sort of cool. We had Pele one time, or George Best. Or no, all of a sudden, real players were coming from American shores to ply their trade in Europe, and particularly the English Premier League. And it was really cool. It was really, really cool.
Bringing it back to the current day, I feel like the blogs and the influencers would have a heck of a time with a memory I just had of uh, John Harkes. I remember seeing a clip of just the culture clash of an American over there. You know, footballers have always been kind of trying to make a statement when they appear or when they come to the game. They'll have their nice little like getting ready bag and a good fit. And then John Harkes would roll up to the stadium wearing like his training gear, like his sweatpants and nothing to primp or preen. And I just remember being like, "Hey, I'm here to play soccer. What are you guys like? Why are you wearing a Gucci bag to the game?" And I feel like if that sort of thing happened nowadays, that would just make the blogs turn a light. Having the American be the guy going casual when he's rolling up to the stadium for game day. Some other names, Brian McBride, can't forget about that. That guy, that he was actually one of the names I recall first when I was a youngster. But the goalie crew cannot be understated. And there he is. You've seen him on television a million times. Casey Keller with hair. With hair. Can you believe it? Wearing the Leicester kit.
It's actually Niles Crane from Frasier, Rob. Wrong photo.
Hey, after our first photo debacle, don't undermine me with the photos that we're putting up here. But yeah, Casey Keller seemed like he spent about 1 million years as a professional goalkeeper, and it's awesome to see him here. Oh, definitely more of an understated personality, but like interesting that a soft-spoken guy like that would have such a competitive edge. This gentleman on screen right now, a little bit more brash and bold. Of course, Brad Friedel, another player who had an amazing, lengthy career. Also here pictured with hair, didn't end up with it either. Also now features as a pundit on American soccer broadcast. But the American wave of goalkeepers. I mean, Americans were spoiled for for goalkeeper choices. And what kind of a kit? What is that? Is that a Liverpool kit there?
It is a Liverpool kit, yeah, because he was a Liverpool backup for the first sort of 20 minutes of his European, certainly of his English Premier League career. Yeah, and he was well liked. Like again, the Liverpool players at the time, or most of whom you'll remember, Rob, they liked the American attitude. There is this thing about Americans in Europe where it's very sort of straightforward and no nonsense, and you kind of see what you get, and it's very refreshing in Europe to sort of meet Americans and mix with Americans. I'm being horribly broad and generalized here, and I apologize for it. I'm just saying that's the kind of the stereotype, if you will. We like Americans because they say how they feel and they say what they think, and that's very much how Brad Friedel has always been, especially how he was as a player, and that's what got him respect.
Yeah, he made many stops along the way, and we've been talking about our early memories of American players, mostly in the UK here. But there's a dense history of players in continental Europe and Germany. We could just list and do the remember whens for a long time over in Germany with the Eric Winaldas and many more. But yeah, talking about goalkeepers. Yeah, remember when we used to have goalkeepers? It's wild. We have more skilled and technical and talented players out in the field, but the goalkeeper position went from a strength to, sadly, a weakness here.
Wow.
In this new generation.
I'd be interested to hear what Nate's thoughts are about the current goalkeepers in the United States team, because I actually think Patrick Schulte is really quite good. Again, you got to look at it through the lens of my rabid fandom. But seriously, there's a reason why Arsenal was shopping for him in the summer before the season, because they wanted to do a whole Matt Turner thing where they bought they bought the next American goalie and just sat him on the bench forever until he got bored and went to Germany. They wanted to do it because they saw something in him. I think he's really good, guys. He's got his own weaknesses. Interestingly enough, they have the same strengths or weaknesses for me, Matt Turner and Schulte. I think Schulte's quite good. I really do. I think he's better than Turner. That's my opinion.
Yeah, we talked about the current international window and who might see starts and who we want to see starts for the Pochettino's competitive debut against Jamaica tomorrow. We didn't really talk about the goalkeeper selection for that. I'm in agreement with you. I think we've seen quite a bit of Turner, and I think it might be time to see some Schulte. I don't know if Pochettino is going to be bold enough to give Schulte, the start in his first competitive match. But I feel like, of the options, why don't you give him a shot? What would you say? What would be the argument against giving Schulte the nod here?
What you've seen Matt Turner enough now. And you understand what he's about. Schulte hasn't been battle tested at the highest level possible quite yet, but he doesn't really have a track record of letting his weaknesses and his tendencies lose you a game. He's a little bit weak in the air, for example. His distribution is not superb, but number one is he's a really good shot stopper. He does the saves, and goalkeepers need to do the saves. That's kind of the main thing. So for me, it's a one. It's not a 1A, 1B. It's a 1 and 2. Schulte is the 1, and Turner should be the 2. And that's no disrespect to Turner. He's decent. Anything's better than Ethan Horvath. But yeah, I think Schulte's really good. I really do. And he's about 14. So get him in the squad. Like Nate said, play the kids.
Ethan Horvath taking some strays. There's 4 goalkeepers on this squad, and he's not even in them. So why give him that?
No, that's what I'm saying.
I'll always forget. Remember Horvath for. He came in and did a great job in the Nations League final when United States defeated Mexico. He came in and did a great job. He's great in spots, but I feel like if he's in the spot for long enough, a mistake will be made at some point. Turner, similar. He was on that great run when he was getting tons of playing time, playing all the national team games and playing MLS starts. And I thought he had a fantastic run there for a couple of years, but ever since he became a sporadic starter, the mistakes just have been piling up, unfortunately. I'm not sure if we have it, though, but we're going to end this Remember When segment down the memory hole. We don't want to forget about our North American neighbors, Canadians. You had a poster in your room of the mid-90s Ipswich team. Featured a pair of Canadians with names that some MLS folks would recognize.
Yeah. So listen, guys, really quick. This is a great honor and a privilege for me to be on your show, Rob. In the shadow of the absence of the great Jason. But wanted to throw out a little bit of a quick trivia contest, guys. The first person who can put in the chat the names of the 2 players that Rob is referring to from that mid-90s Ipswich Town team. Please don't cheat. Please don't Google. Anybody can Google it. I can Google anything I want and not win any money. But yeah, $25 gift card goes out to the first person who can put in the names in the chat box of the 2 North American players repping North America hard in the mid-90s for Ipswich and go. I think there's only 2. If there's more than that, hey, bonus. Get two out of the however many there are. You guys will know.
I gotta say that we are challenging our viewers. There's only about 2 minutes left in the program, and we're throwing out trivia to them. So that'll be difficult. I'll give some hints. One of the players in mention, former manager of LA Galaxy, San Jose Earthquakes, and for a time the Chicago Fire. He played for Ipswich. And then another player that we could pick out of that Tractor Boy team from the mid-90s. He played for Ipswich, had 56 Canadian caps, brief loan spell at Chelsea, and was a goalkeeper. This is a deep cut, Luke, and we didn't give him a lot of time. Mid-90s Ipswich Canadians. I mean, come on.
Yeah, British Columbia. British Columbia Sports Hall of Fame. Come on, guys. Who doesn't know this?
We're getting niche here on morning kick around, and we'll give a little bit more time for any possible answers to North
Absolutely.
Americans on this Tractor Boys team, but have to acknowledge Harry. Good morning. Thank you for viewing once again one of our regular MK Ultras here.
Let's go,
And he
Harry.
brings up a good point, separate from this topic here. Rest in peace to Memphis 901, another team killed off in United States. It was announced yesterday that because they could not secure a new stadium, I believe, they have Memphis 901 of the USL Championship has transferred their franchise rights to Santa Barbara. So Memphis will not play in 2025. Santa Barbara to join USL Championship in 2026. Sorry to it's a real bummer for any Memphis fans out there. We know a player quite well here locally, Dylan Borzak, a professional from Detroit, was in the squad from Memphis. So not sure if anyone from the current organization of Memphis will go to Santa Barbara. Probably not due to the fact that no 2025, those players will probably have to find a new team now. So another one on the dead list. Pour one out for the homies. Memphis 901 no longer. It is about our time. We'll give the like and subscribe to the channel, chat. On our journey to 500 is on its way. Like and subscribe. If you've hit the button, thank you. Thank you so much. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your
There
friends.
he is.
And that is the Canadian who may have gone down the memory hole. He plied his trade for the Tractor Boys and even had an appearance for Chelsea. Who is this player, Luke?
Never heard of him. His name is Craig Forrest, and he's a heck of an interview, guys. If Rob, long shot for the show, perhaps, but we should get him on the show and have a little chat with him. He's a lovely, lovely guy. Wonderful career. So many stories. He'll tell you all day about how he once let 5 goals in against former Manchester United striker Andy Cole, and he said it was the worst moment of his career, and he literally just wanted to just the ground to swallow him up. He's got some wonderful stories. He's been around the block. He's a lovely fella, Craig Forrest.
Yep. So, and then here's the other one. MLS fans, did you know that your Frank Yallop was a Ipswich Tractor Boy? I didn't know that. I knew he had, a playing career, but I didn't know that. You're really bringing things out of the memory hole here, Luke.
Yeah, well, that's his Panini sticker. I love the Panini sticker. Every kid in the UK in the mid '90s, they loved their Panini stickers. You'd go to the corner shop and pay 22 pence, and you'd get 6 stickers. And a funny story, the first I know we got to end the show, but I wanted to say this real quick as a Southeast Michigan guy. I had the chance to meet the great Danny DiCchio, who was the head coach of Detroit City FC, and I told him that the very first pack of Panini stickers for my sticker album that I ever bought, it had DiCchio in that pack, and he thought that was really funny, and he asked me if I kept the sticker, and I'm like, no, man, I was 12. Why would I keep a sticker for 30 odd years? But yeah, the past is never the past.
Yeah, great. Thank you for that. I didn't know. Nate in the chat didn't know Frank Yallop, a Tractor Boy in the mid '90s, and that was a good trip down the memory hole. Thank you for bringing that to the show, Luke. And just goes to show the Americans abroad, the pursuit for that predates, the wide use of the internet. And imagine being an American trying to find out about these players back in 1992.
Oh, it's just so wonderful. You could really go down the rabbit hole with the wonderful, beautiful tapestry of stories in soccer. I mean, you really could. Who played for who and when and what college they went to and which youth team they got cut from when they were 14 and they had to rebuild and start all over again. Sports is so beautiful, guys. It's not the goals. It's not the goals. It's not the wins and losses. It's the stories. It's the narratives. It's the beautiful, wonderful memories that we create along the way. And I know I'm sounding so hokey and corny, and I don't care because you all know it's true.
Yeah, and then also, yeah, we didn't forget all the great American players who applied their trade in Germany, the Winaldas, and then other players like Hugo Perez and the like. So definitely in the and Hargraves and others. So yeah, so I'm getting some additional comments in here. Keep those coming and share them on X, Instagram. All the comments and players, the remember wins, the memory holes, those early American players plying their trade overseas. You know, they had to be brave. Some of the stories you hear, I think I've heard Brad Friedel, he joined a team in Turkey when he was first going overseas. And, you know, there was players threatening him like, Americans, what are you doing here? You're taking my friend's job. And it was not a friendly, you know, social media thing where guys are palling around. Like, it was kind of cutthroat and, you know, brave guys leading the way for today's Americans. Hit us up on X and Instagram with any more names you got. Give us a follow there and share a comment on some names we may have forgotten, or the first American players that meant something to you when you were growing up as well. All right, Jason.
Love to hear that.
Yeah, thank you, Luke, for bringing this segment and filling in the big chair this morning. And we'll be back for more on Friday. And until then, enjoy USA and all the other soccer. Salut.
Rob, thanks for having me. Jen, thanks for your background work. Really appreciate you. Mum, Martha, appreciate you. Love you. And this has been great. Thank you, guys. Thanks to everybody who tuned in. This is a lot of fun.
Morning Kick Around out.